Today we're going to talk about splicing. Single splicing, we got our single splicer over here. We got our strippers, alcohol, chem wipes, some tubes, and we're going to splice the CO side into this 12 count east. It's showing right here. This is coming from the head end, and then this is another 12 count that we're going to be splicing onto. First things first is to actually measure. If we went ahead and spliced this right now, a lot of these, your tray, when you wrap it in, it won't look good after this is spliced if we just spliced without measuring. Measuring, typically in this tray, which we call a B tray, you want to measure 3 times going around. So that'd be 2. And this would be 3. When measuring, we want to measure not in the middle of our splice, but a little more towards the end of the splice. That gives us room to strip, clean, and cleave before we actually splice. So we want to be a little past middle when we do splice. So we just cut it off right there, let that rest, and we do the same for the other side. This side we're going to actually bring down to the other end of the tray and then measure with 3 wraps and measuring to the other side of the hold downs there. So there's 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to worry about that brown. And then you kind of come up and measure out to be right about there. Come up, pinch, cut off. At this point, we want to take our fibers back out. It is a good idea to get yourself a pick or a zip tie and kind of come up underneath, grab your fibers, and release them out of the tray. Straighten them out. Same for the other side. Get them up out of the hold downs. Straighten them out and let them lay down. Key thing here is to not have all these fibers wrapped around each other. Good idea is to kind of pinch them right here and have them laying flat, and then slightly run your finger down and spread them apart here. You want it looking like a guitar or violin or anything that the fibers are not cross from each other. Same goes for the other side. This side is obviously a little longer because it goes a little further down the tray. We're going to bring that end right here. Bring this end right about here. It's ideal to have your splicer in the middle of your 2 splice points. Simply grabbing 1 fiber, needle and thread into a tube, 1 at a time. In this case, we're not going to splice brown. 3-finger wrap, just shown into another video. Any ones that you're not splicing, it's always best to do a 3-finger wrap and have it set up out of the way. We're not splicing brown. It's easier for me to have the cleaver here in the middle, so I can grab this side, strip it, cleave it, grab this side, and it's always right here in the middle. You always want to see your face of your splicing machine. My way for a chem wipe is to grab it up out of the chem wipe box, fold in half, another half, hamburger, hot dog, and we have nice smooth area that we can run fiber through. Next, dab it into some alcohol, get it nice and wet, and it is soaked. And then I do another hamburger, so when I grab the fibers I can simply pinch it and run it down. No creases, nothing's gonna get caught. When I drop it and it sits like an A, so it doesn't pick up as much debris off from the table. That is my way. A lot of people hold it in their hands. A lot of people have different folding methods, but that is the way I'm showing you today. We're going to do color for color splicing, which means whatever color I grab from the 48 North CO side, I want to splice onto the 12 count East side. I have a aqua here from the CO. When we strip these strippers, I like to strip back about 1.5 inches to 1 3/4. Close it all the way and let it glide, and we get the cladding off. But after this cladding, we got the glass that the fiber is actually being shot through. We want that nice and clean, free of debris. Next, where the cladding ends, we want at the mark that's in the middle. We got 2 separate grooves here. One's bigger than the other. This single fiber here, we're going to use the first tray. The second tray is if it has like a thicker piece of coating, cladding, so on and so forth. But for this, we want to be in the first one, be lined up right about to the mark there. Our trap door will not shut until we push this glider over. When this glider pushes over, it runs that blade, the precise blade, over the cushion, which actually does the cutting of the fiber. So we want the trap door open, the blade out, and then when we shut, we'll glide it through. That's a cleave. After we get the first set on, we want to turn on the splicer. Wait for turn on, does this open measurements, opens the heater and the doors. Once we have that cleaved, we want to grab about 2 inches back, make sure it's free of everything, kind of come in and lay down in the door. that one's set. Go ahead and grab the other side. Off with the cladding. Clean of any debris. Cleave. And then this, make sure it's free of debris. Kind of come back, lay in the same spot here. It'll do its measurements, alignments. It is now arcing. This here is key. Here is a loss of .03. And we want to take a look at these pictures here. This one is not so great. We'd have to break that one and re-splice it. We're not going to for now. We'll see how the other one looks. Next step is the heat shrink. What I did here is, if you could see the two claddings where they start and begin, and then our middle spot here is where it's actually spliced. We want that in the middle of the heat shrink. So it's simply go back and forth, and once you see both sides in the splice tube, slightly lay that into the heater. The heater will take 5 to 10 seconds, and when it's done, it'll open back up the heat door and allow you to grab the fibers and lift up and out, and it's shrunk. Once it's shrunk, we kind of lay that aside, and then you're on to the next one. This, we have a bad cleave, meaning the cleaver didn't actually precise clean cut this end. This particular splicer will tell you what side it is with the blinking red dot. So we have to grab the fiber, lift the door, and come out, re-strip it, re-clean it, and try the cleave again. It's a lot better cleave, equal on both sides.
And a good splice. After this one is all spliced, I'm going to ask the camera crew to come up and get a close up on this last fiber here, so I can show you what to position and where to position it. So we're going to heat shrink our last one here. I'm going to close the door so no debris gets inside the mirrors, glass, anything like that. And remove our last heat shrink for the moment. We're going to shut down the machine.
First, we want to cleave about an inch, inch and a half back. Strip. Clean all the cladding off. And we want to position the end of the cladding to about the dotted lines here, right about there. With the arm forward, the door won't close all the way until you push the arm back. We want to close the door first, and it'll latch. And once we move this arm back, it'll catch the cut glass and put it into the trash bin. After so, we want to grab the fiber right outside the cleaver, open the door, we've got a cut end. Put it in the splicer. We're going to grab it about 2 inches back. I don't know if you can see that, but after the blue cushion, we have our glass fiber in there, but it's not crossing the electrodes. And do the same for the other side with the splice tube on it. Slightly move the splice right in the middle of the heat shrink. Open the heat door and lightly rest it in. That sums it up on splicing.